Thank you all for coming along today to the last of our information sessions. It's great to see so many of you here today. So a few wee housekeeping rules and some introductions first. So I'm Kirstine Thompson from the grants team in the council, and I'm joined with a few of my colleagues. So today we have Tracy, Karen, Derek, Simone and Anne with us. And our colleagues from GCVS that are hosting the session for us, we have Fran, Sheena and Kevin. So this session is scheduled to last for an hour and a half, which contains some presentations and time for questions. I'll spend just about 5 minutes as part of the introduction and give you some background as to where we're at. After the introduction, I'll pass over to Simone, who will talk about the key difference in the 26 to 29 fund from the current programme. And Karen will take us through the application form, and Derek will take us through the budget template. We're also doing sort of live FAQs that we're adding to the website. There's some on already, and any of the questions that you asked today that are relevant for other people, we'll get them onto the website as well. So you can have a look at that, and that will be continually updated as questions come in. So a wee bit about where we're at. So the council had committed to reviewing the current phase of the Glasgow Community Fund and to build learning from the review into the planning and design of any future phase of the fund. Integral to the review was hearing people's experiences of the fund. The review covered 4 key areas, and these were communication and engagement, programme design, application process and timescales. So officers in the council worked with colleagues from GCVS to deliver 3 online workshops to allow people to tell us about their experience of the fund. A survey was also conducted in December 2023, all of which contributed to the development of the Glasgow Communities Fund 2026 to 29. I'd like to thank everybody who contributed to this process. For anyone who hasn't seen the report on the outcome of the review, it is available on the GCF webpage. We consulted on many aspects of the fund, one of which was the timetable for GCF 26 to 29, and one of the key priorities was to have funding decisions as early as possible. The timetable gives more time to apply, it gives you more time to assess the applications in collaboration with the strategic leads, and decisions will be made in November 2025 at the latest. So there's some key differences from the GCF Phase 2. There are many aspects of this application process that do remain unaltered, and we've introduced some changes to the 26-29 programme. I'll mention a few of the key points. I've got a slide here coming up that will show what's not being changed. So the key points of things that will remain in place are the existing funding thresholds will stay the same, and that's a minimum of 20,000 and a maximum of 200,000 annually. There'll be no further ring fencing introduced in the 26 to 29 programme, and the fund will provide a 3-year programme of funding from 26 to 29, but this will be subject to confirmation of budgetary provision later in 2025. So there are 2 main differences for the programme, and these are applicants will need to commit to Fair Work principles, including paying GCF funded staff the real living wage. And we have introduced fund themes, and they'll be covered by Simone later in the session. So a wee bit about the timeline now for the programme. So the application process opened on the 13th of February, and it will close on the 7th of April 2025 at midday. No applications will be accepted after this time, so please try and get your application in before then. The assessment process will take place between April and kind of August, September. And recommendations will be made in October, November, but definitely November by the latest, with a view that the programme will go live on the 1st of April 2026. So we have the application pack on the website, and that includes a link to the application form on Smart Survey, the fund overview and the step-by-step guidance document. So we'll talk more as we go through the process about the fund overview and the step-by-step, but these are the two key documents that you need to look at. We've also got a Word version of the application form on the website, and that's to help you if you wanted to cut and paste into your Smart Survey application. And we've got a mock application form just to give you some guidance as to a sample project and how that application would be completed. We have the budget template and we have the mock budget template, which goes along with that application form. We have the standard terms and conditions of funding, and as I mentioned earlier, the FAQs are updated after each session. So hopefully all these documents will help you complete your application. I'm now going to pass over to Simone, who will provide more information about the themes that are included as part of the programme this year.
Thanks, Kirstine. So my name is Simone Can, part of the grants team, and I'll talk today a bit about how we developed the fund themes and just give you a quick summary of each of them. So when we developed Communities Funds in 23-26, we didn't have a council strategic plan available, and feedback received during the recent review indicated that now that we do have a plan, that the fund should directly support this, particularly Grand Challenge 1, which aims to reduce poverty and inequality in our communities. And there are 4 missions that underpin this challenge, and these are to end child poverty in our city using early intervention to support families, meet the learning and care needs of children and their families before and through school, improve the health and well-being of our local communities, and support Glasgow to be a city that is active and culturally vibrant. And further information on the Council Strategic Plan, the challenges and the missions can be found within the fund overview and also on the website. So we began to have a look at how to best incorporate the Grand Challenge and missions into the existing fund framework. And as part of that, we undertook a comprehensive mapping exercise where we looked at the activities and services that are currently funded within the Communities Fund and how they might align with these. We quite quickly realised that the missions and the funded activities also complemented and aligned with a number of the council family strategies and plans. And we began to work with the council family partners on how we could incorporate and reflect all of these strategic plans and priorities within the fund framework. And through working collaboratively, we developed the fund themes. So as you can see, we have 5 themes. So these are supporting children, young people and families, promoting culture and creativity, developing community infrastructure, improving health and well-being, and challenging violence against women and girls. Now, we've designed the fund themes to be broad enough to encompass the wide range of activities and services undertaken by the third sector in the city and to enable applicants to demonstrate their alignment to the relevant council strategic aims and priorities by choosing and reporting on these themes. And I'll take you through how you're asked to report on this shortly. All the strategic documents that have been referred to when developing the fund are available again on the website within the related context section if you want to refer to them. But for now, I'll just take you through a quick summary of each of the themes. And the full description of the themes, including outcomes, etc., are included within the fund overview and step-by-step documents that have already been mentioned. So the first theme is supporting children, young people and families. And this theme is about providing support to the whole family with a particular focus on addressing the challenges caused by poverty, inequality and social isolation. Now, we know that services aimed at children and young people quite often provide or require support for the parents and carers too, and that when a child or parents' needs are left unaddressed, it can impact on the whole family. We also know that needs of individuals or families' access and support are quite often complex and require intervention from a number of different services. To effectively address these challenges, we're looking to fund services that are responsive, inclusive, provide holistic support and who work collaboratively in order to provide the right support at the right time for the child, the young person and or the families. Some examples of the types of fund activity that we might look to support within this theme include support for children and young people, and that looks at pre-post school support. So that's basically any activities provided outside of school hours. Support for learning, which would be your homework, tutoring, kind of vocational classes, positive pathways for those not in education or being educated within a school setting. Physical activities, which is your play, dance, sports, games, etc. youth engagement, which is your kind of generic youth work, diversion activities and outreach. Your youth health, which is any activities that support a kind of positive mindset and enhance wellbeing. Youth leadership, which includes activities fostering youth voice. And your skills development, which would include your volunteering, mentoring, befriending and coaching. It would also include support for families, and this would include activities that are parenting related. Childcare, now this is specifically around wraparound or respite care for the most vulnerable families, might not otherwise be able to engage in this. Therapeutic activities and support, which is your advice, your information, your groups tailored to family support needs, peer support and counselling, etc. And your activities that promote family learning. It would also include support for inclusion, and this is tailored activities or services within this theme for those with additional support needs or protected characteristics that face additional barriers and exclusion. Now, there are 6 specific outcomes related to this theme, but you can view these within the fund overview step by step in the application form. So the next theme is promoting culture and creativity. And this theme is about acknowledging the vital role that culture and creativity has in reducing inequality, improving individual wellbeing and promoting diversity and inclusion within our communities. To support this theme, we are looking to fund activities that widen access and participation, enhance wellbeing, practice our cultures and celebrate the diversity of our city through fostering engagement and collaboration in communities. And the types of activity that would be looked to fund under this theme would include your wellbeing activities, and that would be like your making workshops, your arts therapy, family sessions, etc. Creative engagement and participatory arts, and this would be any activities that encourage active participation and artistic expression. Creating places and spaces for culture and creativity, and this would be your performances, exhibitions, any events. Skills development, which would include arts development, training, volunteering, and again, support for inclusion. So that's your tailored support for those with additional support needs and or protected characteristics within this theme. And there are 4 outcomes attributed to this theme, which again, you can view in the fund guides. So the next theme is developing community infrastructure. And this theme is about providing support to individuals experiencing poverty and inequality within a community setting, and whether that's a community of place, a community of interest, identity or circumstance. Now, we know how important it is to create spaces or places where people can access essential services, share resources, socialise, learn and take active roles in their communities. And we also know that community organisations and groups that create these spaces and places might need some support and capacity to grow and become sustainable in order to be responsive to local need. So within this theme, we're looking to fund services and activities that are inclusive, locally accessible, that bring people together to promote wellbeing, develop skills, build capacity and foster community cohesion. And the types of activities we might look to be funded through this would include your community spaces, which is your halls, centres, hubs, cafes, gardens, etc. Wellbeing and social activities, any activities that are promoting health, wellbeing and social connection. Activities that promote inclusion, integration and settlement. You've got your learning and skills development, which would include your adult learning such as literacy, numeracy, ESOL, digital inclusion, etc. Your community food, which would include your gardening, your food growing, community meals and pantries. Any advice and guidance, which would be your workshops and surgeries. Advocacy and support, which would be activities that promote, raise awareness or advocate for the rights of a particular community of identity, interest or circumstance. Capacity building, and these would be activities that support either the individual or organisational capacity, kind of training, volunteering, peer support, etc. And again, support for inclusion, which is the tailored support for those with additional support needs or protected characteristics to enable equitable access to services within this theme. And there are 6 outcomes related to this theme, which again are in the supporting documents. The next theme we have is improving health and wellbeing. Now, we know that persistent exposure to poverty and inequality can make it really difficult for people to develop and remain in good health, access essential health services and avoid harm. We also know that early intervention and prevention is key in helping people to build their capacity, their confidence, resilience and recovery. And it's hoped that by addressing issues early on, we can reduce the risk of developing complex needs additional health problems, and generally just improve their overall quality of life. So within this theme, we're looking to fund inclusive services and activities that promote improved physical health, positive mental health, social connections, personal resilience, and greater independence. Examples of the types of funded activity would include your wellbeing activities, and that would be anything that promotes mental health and wellbeing, so healthy cooking, creative and recreational activities, conversation cafes, etc. Therapeutic support would be your advice, your listening services, and your counselling. Social support would be your befriending, peer support, lunch clubs, etc. Physical activities could be anything from dance, play, sports, games, coaching. Care services would include your daycare, your reminiscence programmes that support specific conditions, and your recovery and resettlement would also be included within this. And again, we have support for inclusion, which is your tailored activities within this theme for people with additional support needs or protected characteristics. And there are 4 outcomes within this theme, which again are in the fund overview and the step-by-step guide. And the next theme we have is challenging violence against women and girls. Now, this theme is focused on challenging and reducing all forms of violence against women and girls, and to address the underlying attitudes and systems that perpetuate it. We're aware that in order to provide safety and recovery for the women and girls affected, that everyone has a part to play in stopping, reducing and raising awareness of the harms caused by this. So to support this aim, we are looking to fund services that focus on providing person-centred, holistic support to survivors with a focus on reducing risk, increasing safety and promoting wellbeing. And examples of the types of activity we would look to be funded here include prevention and early intervention, which would be your awareness raising issue-based workshops, advocacy and signposting, which would include your IDA, your independent domestic abuse advocacy, and referrals to relevant services. Your therapeutic support would be your advice, counselling, emotional support. Recovery support, which would include one-to-one peer and group support. Activities that are accessible within locations, so your outreach. Skills development, which would include your volunteering, your mentoring and your training. And again, support for women and girls with additional support needs or protected characteristics within this theme. And there are 3 outcomes associated with this theme that are also contained within the guides. And just for information, Social Value Lab was recently commissioned by Inspiring Scotland through the Scottish Government, Glasgow City Council and HSEP to conduct a needs assessment to look at gaps in gender-based violence service provision in Glasgow, with a particular focus on the north east of the city, with the purpose of this to inform effective service provision in the future. Now, we're aiming for the findings to be available the week beginning the 10th of March, which we will share with you through our various comms channels and on the website. And applicants that would perhaps choose this theme might want to have a look at the findings before completing their application. So in terms of how applicants can report against these themes, there is a section within the application, I think it's question 42, that asks organisations to select the theme which aligns the closest to the proposed project. And this will be known as a primary theme. You'll be asked to select a number of the theme specific outcomes and detail how you intend to meet these. As I said previously, the themes have been developed with a broad range of activities in mind, so you should be able to align your proposed project to one theme. You will have the option to choose a secondary theme and related outcomes if you're really unable to fully represent the project within the primary theme. However, applications will be assessed based on the primary theme chosen, and all fund themes will be treated equally, with no one theme being prioritised over another. So that's just a really brief summary of the themes, and as I said, full descriptions including the theme outcomes are contained within the step-by-step guide and the fund overview, and there's also an example contained within the step-by-step guide and in the mock application, which just shows a kind of certain type of project and the theme that they might choose with that. However, if you're unsure which theme to choose when you're completing your application, then just contact us via the CES grants mailbox and we'll be able to advise you on this. I'll just now pass you over to Karen, who's going to take you through the application.
Thanks, Simone. Good morning, everyone. My name's Karen. I also work with the grants team, and today I'm going to be guiding you through the technical aspects of the online form, and which has been created using Smart Survey. before we dive into the specifics of the application form, I just want to reiterate the importance of using the help documentation that's available to you. As mentioned before, the documentation does contain crucial details about how to tell us about your proposed activities, and it offers a step-by-step guidance on how to complete each section of the application form. By familiarising yourself with the form, with the documentation before starting the application, you will save time, you'll avoid errors, and you'll enhance your application. There's also a Word document that's available to you as well, a blank Word document that shows all of the questions, so that you would be able to use that in your planning for your application. So during this section, we're going to cover the technical aspects of the form, as I said before, and that includes how to navigate the Smart Survey platform and the application form, how to input data, what the mandatory questions are. We're going to look at questions which are branched. That's where the options provided depend on the response given before. We're going to look at how to save and return and submit your application, and what happens after you hit that submit button. Now, I'm not going to be going through every question in the application form, just the ones where there are technical requests to make sure everyone is comfortable with the functions. I'll show you a preview of the application form. Now, that's going to look a bit different from the actual application form. The question numbers are usually off slightly, but it's just because of the way it's presented. And the preview allows me to quickly navigate through the form to show you specific pages, but you won't be able to do that in the live form. So I will stress again, this session is not a substitute for the comprehensive guidance provided in the feedback, but if you've got any questions during this session, please feel free to ask them at the end, or you can put them in the chat and we'll get back to you. So let's get started. This application, as I said before, is created using Smart Survey. Smart Survey is a web-based programme designed to improve the collation analysis of information that's provided. You don't need to download any additional software or any apps or anything to use Smart Survey. Now, some of you will already be familiar with Smart Survey because you'll have used it if you're currently receiving Glasgow community funding. We've used it previously for applications, and we also use it for our monitoring as well. So you will be aware of how to navigate your way around. If you're not, then there's a couple of things that you need to know first off. First of all, you should save your work regularly, and you do that by clicking the Save button at the bottom of every page. So if you save that, press that, and it comes up with a question asking you your name and your email address. Now, what happens then is you will be emailed a link that will take you back to the online survey at the point you left off. Unfortunately, I can't do anything about the reCAPTCHA. That's a Smart Survey security question, unfortunately. But we would suggest that you save your work regularly. Navigating through the form is a really important one. Please do not press your back button in your browser here. Always use your previous page. And the reason for that is because you may lose your information that you've already put in. So always use the back button in the application form. So let's just go back here. And finally, there are some mandatory questions in the form, and these are indicated at the end of the question by the word required, or you may see a red asterisk beside it. So I'll just show you what that will look like. So as you can see, it does say required, and if you put in the information here, but you leave out this information and you try to go to the next page, it will tell you that there's been an error, and it'll take you to where all the errors are so that you can fill that in. So that's one of the first things we'll tell you about. Next, we're going to look at uploading information. During the application process, you are required to upload a number of documents that we need to see as part of the assessment, and those are things like your governing document, your bank statements. We need to see copies of your last board minute as well. So these are all, you're able to upload all of these under these questions, and you can do that by, normally what we would suggest is if you get the documents ready and have them sitting even on your desktop, which means that you would be able to just press choose file. It then takes you to, you click on your desktop, and whatever document it is that you need to upload, you just press OK, and then it uploads with the file name so that you know that that's been done. So there's a few instances across the application form where you're asked to do that. So it also outlines the file format that is allowed. Now there's a small list here, but if you have a look at the step-by-step guidance, there is a full list of all the formats that are allowed. If for any reason the format that you're using isn't there, if you drop us an email at CES Grants inbox, we'll be able to have a look to see if it's if that's something that we can add onto the list, so that you can submit your documents. Okay. So in that route, we will then go to, right, so that's for your governing document. We also ask you to upload your latest board and management committee minute as well. Please make sure that it is the latest one. And in that, once you've done that using the same process as before, and then you get the you've missed bits out, you can then go to the finance page. In this section, we're going to ask you for a copy of your latest audited accounts, and you'll do that using the same process that you used before. And again, if the format isn't suitable to the format that you're using, if you let us know, and we'll have a look at that for you. So again, you would just choose your file, upload it, and that's that done there. Okay. Now we're asking for a copy of your recent bank statement, and it's a bank statement within the last 3 months. It has to be within the last 3 months. Please ensure that the name of the organisation is visible on the bank statement, and it should be the same as the name in the governing document. You can redact sensitive information in this. However, please do not redact financial figures. And again, if there is any issues with the format, then please just let us know, and we will try and get that sorted for you. So again, your file uploaded will be named there. Okay. So the next stage we're going to move on to is the project activities. So this relates to the project that you're applying for. You can refer to the step-by-step guidance for any help in this section. We would also suggest that you look at the mock application to see how it's been laid out. Please be aware that there are word limits within some of the text boxes, excuse me, and they will say exactly how many words are available. You can use the Word version of the application to keep track of the word numbers. Unfortunately, you're not able to put in hyperlinks or any kind of charts or anything into the text boxes. So any references to external documents or reports, you'll need to summarise within the text box yourself. Okay. So the next section we will go to is page 22. Now this is a section that Simone was talking about before with the themes. So here's a list of all 5 themes here. And when you get to this section, you're going to select your primary theme. So you're going to select one primary theme that most closely aligns with the core activities and the goals of your project. So if, for instance, you were to pick promoting culture and creativity, the next page you're taken to are the outcomes relating to promoting culture and creativity. You won't be able to see any of the other outcomes for any of the other themes, but there is the list at the back of the step-by-step and the fund overview. So you will be able to see, have a look there, but when you pick your theme, it'll focus purely on the outcomes relating to that theme. We're also asking you to provide a brief summary of how your project will work towards the outcomes. So once you've done that, we are going to take you, sorry, I was going to say, this is the branched question that I was talking about previously. And there are a few of them throughout the application form where if you answer in a certain way, you'll be asked a follow-up question, but you'll be returned straight back to the application form. So if we then move on to, let me just see, I need to put something in there. You are then asked if you need to choose a secondary theme. If you say no, you will move directly on to the next page in the application form. But if you say yes, you will be taken back to the themes where you can repeat the process. You can pick another theme and you can pick the outcomes relating to that theme, and you'll then also identify which outcomes you're going to work to and how you're going to work to them. So let me just take you to the next page here. As Simone said, the number of themes and outcomes chosen doesn't impact on whether your application is funded or not. Doesn't mean that the more outcomes you pick, the more chances of funding or the higher amounts of funding. So please just make sure that the information that you're providing in these sections describe the types of services that you're going to be delivering. So the next section is funding. So we are going to ask you to make sure that you've downloaded the budget section from the Glasgow City Council website and you've completed it before you reach this section, because you're going to need to upload the form here and also insert information that's been extracted from the template into the application form. Now, to take you through the budget template, our colleague Derek is going to talk you through this and explain how to complete it and where the sections are that you would upload to the application form. So I'll stop sharing here and hand you over to Derek.
Thank you, Karen. So hi there, I'm Derek, and I'm going to give you a quick overview of the budget template that you need to submit as part of your application. If you've applied to the GCF before, then you'll be familiar with this template, as it remains the same as it was for phase 2. Now, it is very important to complete and upload the budget template in its original format, as this is the only format that would be accepted. The template is protected as it contains a lot of formatting and formula, and therefore you can only edit certain fields. So if you try to type in a cell and it won't let you, it just means that you shouldn't be editing that field. So I'll share the budget template, and if you can let me know once that's shown, okay? So you should be seeing the budget template now. So in the budget, we're looking for you to provide a breakdown of both the total cost for your project and the amount you're requesting for the GCF. And just to be clear, we don't want to know the total operating costs of the organisation as a whole, just the project that you're applying for. There is information and help notes in the first 2 tabs of the budget to assist you, and I'm going to concentrate on tabs 3 to 6 today. So moving on to tab 3, which is the main budget tab, and this is where you provide the majority of your costs. There is a section for each of the 3 financial years with 2 columns in each section. The first is for your total project costs and the second is for the costs you're applying for. So if you could use the budget headings provided to detail your costs, and there is a section at the bottom for other miscellaneous costs, which you can use for anything that can be attributed to the prescribed budget headings. You should complete the 2 columns for each year you're requesting funding for, with all columns automatically totaling at the bottom for each year. And across for a total, for each budget heading across the 3-year funding period, and all cells in grey contain formula and also populate throughout. So there are then 3 separate tabs, so tabs 4 to 6, for you to provide information on the salary cost provided for your project, 1 for each financial year. So on each tab, you should provide details for all posts in your project, even if you're not applying for funding for them. You should provide the job title, number of hours, salaries, and associated costs. You can then enter how many of the post hours you're applying for funding for. If the post has not been supported by GCF, then you should enter 0. And the columns in grey will remain and also populate. So once you've completed all sections, the overall costs will be summarised in the table at the bottom of the main budget tab. 3. The other budget funding will automatically be calculated on the difference between your total project costs and the amount you're applying for. So you should then upload the completed budget template here at the funding section. You can only upload 1 file, and it must be the format either XLX or XLXS, which is obviously Excel kind of domains for uploading documents. And Karen's just kind of highlighted how you can do that through Smart Survey. You can then copy the figures from the summary section in the main budget tab and populate your application form with the relevant questions for page 36. In this section of the application, you will input the total project costs and the total amount requested from the GCF financial year. There is then space for you to tell us about any match funding. So there's a separate question for each financial year and space to provide details on 6 funding sources. Please provide the funding source and amounts for each financial year, or whether this has been confirmed yet or not. Generated income will likely be an estimate at this time, so please add this as unconfirmed. And for all the finance questions, you should add 0 against any year that you're not requesting any funding for. And finally, for your information, there is an example of a completed budget template on the web page which you can refer to for further information. So I'll now pass you back to Karen, who'll take you through the remainder of the application form.
So once you've filled in the information on the funding that you're requesting from Glasgow Communities Fund, that's more or less the end of the application form. So to make sure that you've uploaded everything that you're supposed to, we've got a checklist on the information page that asks you just to make sure and click that your governing document, your board minute, your annual accounts, your bank statement and your budget template have all been uploaded as requested. So once you have completed that, you will also see that this next section, this section here actually pulls the information through from the previous questions in the application form to provide a summary. So it'll put in the name of the person that's authorised to submit the application and the name of the project as well. You'll also find details of the contact email address that you've provided with regards to the status of the application and project. You'll find the project name and the project summary that you've provided, the 100-word project summary that you provide under the project details. And it'll also detail the amounts that you've asked for. We would ask you to make sure that you've checked this thoroughly, and if it's not correct, using the previous page button, if you can just pop back and make sure that everything is correct and that the information is there, because this is the information that we'll be looking at as well. So once you're happy with that, you can click the button to say that you're happy to proceed, and that then will take you to the last part, which is the terms and conditions. So there is the terms and conditions are here. You click to agree to them, and once that's been done, it will take you to the next page where the big complete application button is. So once you've completed that, once you've completed your application and you're happy with everything and you've pressed the big complete application button, it'll take you to this final page. So this is what will come up when you've submitted. It'll tell you about the email that you'll get back. You'll have this, but you'll also get an email back from us as well, confirming receipt of your application, and there'll be a PDF attached to that. Normally it comes almost immediately, but there have, depending on some of the filters, etc., that some organisations have, some of the security filters, it can take up to 24 hours. If after 24 hours you haven't received it, first of all, check your spam or your junk folder, because sometimes it'll go in there. And if you definitely haven't received anything, if you can drop us an email at the CES Grants email address right here, and we'll have a look at it for you, just to see what's happened, and send you a copy of the PDF directly from Smart Survey. Okay, so that's me for this section. I am going to hand you back to Kirstine. So thank you very much for listening to me today. And again, if there's any questions, either pop them in the chat or you can send us an email at the inbox. Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Karen. I'd just like to thank everybody for coming along today. I hope you found it useful. Remember that we've got the documents available on the website that should help you, and have a look on our website for the FAQs that will be updated on an ongoing basis. If you do have any specific questions, remember, email us in at CES Grants and we can have that one-to-one conversation with you and try and help you to get your applications in. So just finally, great to see you all here today. Thanks so much for coming along, and good luck with your applications.